All right, we are technically live now. Let me just open this up real quick. Okay, we'll give it like a minute for anybody to come in, if anybody does, and then we will start. Okay.
Well, I hope everyone's here to hear us talk about why the prices for gas are so high.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
I think it's the secret cabal of stray dogs that run most of our major cities.
Not supposed to talk about that.
Oh no,
we're live now. We're live. So.
You hear barking in the distance. That's why I'm being hunted.
You just see a chihuahua dive through and oh no, Brandon!
There he goes.
All right.
So I got a cat.
So now that we are live, and this is for basically quick intro for anybody who's just joining us now or in the future when you're watching this when it's not live. Hi, I'm David Desro, and I'm joined today by two of my Booktube friends, the Maza Booktuber and Brandon Bennet, who also have great Booktube channels. Go check those out. Today we're going to be discussing Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter, which is the second book in the Burning series. And so yeah, guys, we're going to jump into this. I'm going to ask, first off, we're going to do briefly a no spoiler section, a non-spoiler section, I guess. What kind of story is this really, and who do you think this book is for? I would say it's a fantasy with a lot of action. I feel like pretty much non-stop action from start to finish, and it's still a story of revenge. What do you guys think?
I agree. I completely agree, and I feel like if you guys are wanting to read something with like really good action writing, I feel like Evan Winter is like one of his strongest points is able to write fiction, and for you to be able to precisely see everything that he's writing in your head. Like it actually reads like an action movie because he describes it so good. And like sometimes writers write action really well, but they might, I don't know, repeat something like, oh, they use the same move, but for some reason when I'm reading the book, it just reads like a whole different fighting scene. It doesn't feel like it's kind of like copy and paste the next page. It's like a brand new fighting scene. And I feel like the fantasy world is getting a lot bigger in this book too. We're getting into more political like aspects of the whole world. And at first, at least for myself, it seemed like a little tiny world. But with this book, it's expanding a lot more, and I'm loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say action. This is kind of like an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie, kind of like turned into a book, and it's just nonstop. And I do agree with like it's growing. That's the cool part about it. And that's what I like seeing in fantasy series is when each book expands the world more. And like I said in a video I made about it, it's like I think they're gearing up for like a revolution story almost. And I'm a sucker for a good revolution story. But yeah, the nonstop action, the pacing is so good, and the action doesn't get repetitive. It never gets old. And I'm just really impressed with how he pulls it all together.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I feel like it's setting up a revolution story. It's setting up multiple different wars. It's just one after the other. Onto what Maza said about a lot of writers will have certain sentences that they'll use over and over and over. The only one that I noticed here was Blade's world. Tao, he whirls his blades in every fight. He just hits the whirls his blades real quick, and then it gets into a fight. But other than that, it's all really original. The action is very well described, and the stakes are always present. You always know, like, man, Tao really needs to win this battle, not just survive, but he needs to win because of all the things that are at stake. And so if you like action fantasy, if you like stories of revenge, I highly recommend you check this out. Is there anything you guys want to say before we jump into the spoiler section?
I think if you're also liking like the background of like a fantasy world, I feel like this one gave us that too. I totally forgot about that. Like we're learning more about why they're there, who they are, and like what happened in like their past, like I don't know, like their culture in a way. Like we were getting to know more about their culture, and like we dive more into that. And I feel like sometimes authors kind of like bypass that, and they kind of give you little glimpses. But in this book, I feel like I learned a lot more, like why they're there, like what the whole point of it is. Because sometimes you're just like, oh, they're just there because they want to be cool or something. But no, we know why they're there now.
Yeah.
No. It's also cool because it's like it's kind of a new world setting, but it's still analogous to like the real world Bronze Age. And like in the real world, when we think about like New World exploration, it's usually like 1400s or so. And so it's really cool to kind of have that exploration phase, but also like pushed back in time, like a few thousand years.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you definitely see a lot more backstory as to the history of the world and why they're there. And I think even it's relevant to today, where you have a rich class and a poor class, and there's a huge gap. And I think, yeah, I think there's a lot to relate to, even in today's world. But
You know
yeah,
what? The prologue made a lot more sense in this book, which is kind of odd. Like, you know how like the prologue in the first book, we're kind of like, okay, what is this kind of thing? But
Mhm.
for some reason, it made total sense once the queen started explaining like what was going on. I was like, oh,
Yeah, like I see now.
yeah.
Yeah, initially it's just like, okay, here's a queen, and then in the first book's prologue, here's a queen and she has a dragon, and then somebody dies, and okay. Just like,
And then 200 years later.
and then 200, yeah, we jump forward, like, this will all be important eventually, I know. All right, let's see. All right, I'm changing the banner. We're going into spoiler territory now. So if you haven't read it yet, this is your warning. We're going to talk about spoilers. If you want to go back and read the book and then come back and later, I'll leave this stream up. All right, guys. The most important question I have. Could you survive on Tao's sleep schedule?
No way. You know what? Now that I have a baby, I've come close to getting his sleep schedule, but that was in the first few weeks. Now I'm getting back to my routine, but man, I don't know how he does it because I was just like, lounging around with the baby, but this guy's over
Yeah.
here battling for his life on like 15 minutes of sleep.
He really, like, in the very beginning, he goes to one battle at the beach. I feel like it's the middle of the night. We got to chase them before they go. And he chases the Zadine, whatever. And then they finish that. And as they're running back to, their city, they're like, wait, no, these other people are fleeing, in the farmlands. You got to go chase them. And it's like, this picks up right after the first book. So he didn't get much rest. Like, he had a full scale war and then ran to the beach and then ran to the farmlands. And then they're like, all right, you need to stay awake all night and train, these people. And then now we're going to march and go to this other battle. And it's just like, he just needs a nap. Like, just give him one nap. He'd be so much more powerful.
So yeah, no, I'm definitely more like I need a full 8 or I'm not making it through the day.
Yeah, same here. I need a solid 8 to 9 hours to be my best self.
And you know what?
I couldn't do
It
this.
seems like his social media is Yogo. I feel like that's his social media. Like he just has to go into it because like he can't go to sleep. Like I'm gonna go train.
Yeah, he's got to check it once every night, and he's got to stay there and see what's going on and get his advantages. All right,
Jeez.
we can go into. We're gonna basically go through major plot points and just give our thoughts. I would say right off the bat, we finished the first book, and then I want to say, is it the next day? Is it a few hours later?
It's like 2 days later, something like
Yeah,
that.
a very short amount of time, and we're starting off the events of the second book, which is basically Kana, who is the son of the war chief of the Zadine. He's fleeing, and Hadith has this idea, like, we can catch him and we can stop him, and that will break their entire alliance. So he goes to the beach, and then what are your thoughts as he's going, and he's eventually cuts the head off of the war chief, and then throws it in front of so Kana can see it as he's flying, or sorry, on his ship.
Sailing away.
Yeah, sailing away. What did you guys think when he beheaded his father and was just like, here?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty brutal. Like, I wasn't expecting the whole thing with the war chief to just conclude within the first, like, 3 chapters of this book. I thought that guy would at least persist throughout, like, the whole book. Same thing with Dasso. So Dasso Headtaker was the one that got enraged in the first book, and she was kind of like a big deal within the Zadine. So I was like, okay, surely she'll become like a bigger antagonist among the Zadine. And like, nope, Tao just completely murks her on the beach, and she's enraged the whole time, and he still just kills her. And that's the cool part with Tao. It's like we saw him kill one enraged person at the end of the first book, and now he's just like can take on anybody. It's crazy.
Now. He's got experience.
I think what I like most about the scene is that for some reason I thought I was just gonna be like him against the chief and just like going ham, but No, he had like his sorcerer person that like made him to where like he became multiple persons, and it was like that whole magical element was there. Which I knew there was like magic in here, but I didn't expect it to be like in a battle. And I really like that whole part where it's like it's not gonna be easy for you, Tal. Like you're gonna have to work for it. And it was crazy how he would go into like the Ishiogo and then come back, and he kind of like would be in both places at the same time. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I don't know, for some reason I could visually see it so well in my head that I was like so into it. Like I was like, I'm not gonna stop reading until I know who wins. And I don't know, the whole scene of him cutting off the head kind of made me think like, bro, like you know what it is to lose your dad. Why would you do it to somebody else? And like in such a brutal way. So like I still like Tao, but I feel like he's kind of like he's kind of losing a few nuts in there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, he's becoming a little bit part demon, I think. I mean,
Hmm.
he's only speaking in languages of violence at this point. And it's crazy how much he's leveled up, like you were saying, from the first. This has been like a couple days maybe,
Yeah.
and now he's easily taking on enraged people. And I, just like you, Brandon, I thought that the enraged was she was gonna last and be like she's gonna be an enemy throughout the series, and like maybe he kills the war chief, but she'll be around, and he killed them both like first
Yeah.
chapter or like right away, and then now he has the ability to be half in Isihogo and then Laba, like the real world. Just now he suddenly he's leveled up in those few days. He learned a lot, and yeah,
And
that was pretty
it's
brutal.
like I don't know if Winter wants us to like humanize with like the enraged because you know how Tal finds the necklace that she made. It looked like she made it herself. Like, does he want us to kind of not like Tal in a way? Like, or is he trying to show us how? I don't know. There's something there. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm making more of it than it is, or maybe it is a good symbolic element to the story because you didn't have to add that part. I feel like I don't know. Like the whole necklace got to me. Like I was like, man, this person has a family kind of thing where like people go to war and it's like you're killing someone's daughter, someone's mom, someone's aunt, someone's grandma.
Mhm. I think he definitely wanted us to consider that these are
Yeah.
real people. That everybody in this war, I mean, whether it's the Zadine, whether it's the nobles, whether it's Essie's side, or I can't never say the name of the princess that he's with, Tisora,
I
Tisioria,
think it's Fiora. I think like the T is kind of silent-ish,
Fiora.
sort of thing.
I'm
Fiora.
gonna Tisora, yeah. I'm gonna butcher it several times, but Tisiora, whoever side you're fighting on, these are all people. These are all human beings, and uh, so when you see these brutal things happen to them, I think he just wants to remind you, like, they're still human. It's not a great thing that he's butchering these people. Yes, he has to win. But still remember your humanity is, I think, what
Yeah.
he's trying to convey.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like the Zadine are the indigenous people, and the
Yeah,
Omehi are the invaders. So I definitely,
I
and
think,
in the first one, it's like, oh, the Zadine are just these kind of backwater, monstrous people or whatever. And yeah, I definitely love the humanizing element, and it kind of shows that they're defending their homeland, and these guys kind of just came in and fucked it up.
Yeah,
yeah,
basically.
I mean, straight up, that's true. And then Raul reads, "Hey, what's up, Raul?" He said, "Kill." Oop. Yeah, there's tons of killing in this book, for sure. All
And
right,
it's like
so
not even like it's like sometimes like it kind of reminds me of John Wayne's killing. Like it's like brutal killing. It's not just like oh he got killed, blah blah. Like he tells you exactly how it goes down.
mhm. Did you mean John Wayne the cowboy or John Wayne Gacy the serial killer?
No, I meant
Or
the
John Wick.
author.
Did you mean John Wick?
No, the author.
Oh, John Wayne the author?
Yeah,
Huh,
I don't think I'm familiar, but
add that to
I
the
think
list.
is that what his name is? Yeah, the one
oh,
we read.
John Gwynn?
Oh, Win. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, Win.
I was
Win.
thinking of
Win.
the old cowboy movies with John Wayne. I was
yeah.
like, he did kill
He's kind of
people.
like okay, no.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So then not only does Tao have to deal with these battles, but they go back and they deal with, the royal council, right?
Yeah.
And they're not very accepting of the commoners joining the council. I mean, Tao, he was a lesser who is now um, basically the queen's champion, and then they want to eventually promote Hadith. But just briefly, that council scene I thought was a good. I don't want to say contrast, but it was a good drama-filled scene to have between the battles. Like, you have all this bloodshed
Mhm.
and physical violence, and then you go to this council meeting, and you're like, oh, there's a lot of politicking going on, and these people could decide the fate of a lot of people's lives. What did you guys think about that first initial council scene?
I actually like the whole political thing because I don't know, like, we can, because we knew from the start that, like, there's like class levels and everything, but like they made it a thing where like now they have to deal with the fact that there's a lesser, and then Tao, like I don't know why, but I really wanted Tao to beat up the general then and now, instead of like us having to wait. Like I was like, because they're about to fight, and then the queen was
Mhm.
like, no, don't worry about it, blah blah. But it's like, no, you should have just killed him or beat him up right there and then. I don't know. That was just me, but
Yeah,
that was
I'm a
just me.
big fan of just getting it over with. Just kill him. Just let's get this done. And then,
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good development, and it didn't like didn't drag, it didn't linger or anything like that. And it's just a good way to start establishing that the queen like believes in Tao and believes in her decisions. And I like that she's like she's the noble who actually cares about the lessers as much as she can.
yeah. No,
But
that's
yeah,
cool.
it's a funny thing. I'm just like like in real life, I'm like don't fight, violence is bad. But then like, in a book, I'm like, oh, these people are not real. So Tao, just kill them all. Like go for it, man.
Yeah. I think in real life we have to really think about our humanity. But
Yeah.
this is just for fun, and we're like, okay, these people oppose you, Tao. Just get them. Destroy them all, Tao. I believe in you. Come on. But I think that was a good point. It was definitely a big character development moment, or at least a character revealing moment for Queen Tisora. That it says a lot that she's willing to have Tao as her champion, and she's willing to eventually have Hadith as her general. And I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, the people who disagree with her and want to overthrow her, they try to flee through the farmlands. They're like, nope, we're not putting up with this. And then we have that battle on the farm. And man, I thought it was really cool because he had a lesser kind of help him. It showed that Tao was a champion of the people. He was
Yeah.
like, he was out there fighting. And for a brief moment, that there was an elderly man who I think really saw what Tao was fighting for. He understood that this is not
But
just your typical noble. I'm sorry, go ahead. Did you say something?
no, I was just gonna mention, but I feel like he was the old guy was less than a lesser, wasn't he? He was like, oh, I forget the
Yeah,
name
Oh,
now.
a drudge.
A
Yeah.
yeah,
drudge. Yeah, he was even less than the lesser, and it's just
Mhm.
like Tao feels for them too because he probably like like it's the lessers and then it's them. It's like bro, like that's like the low. Bringing it back to the council, I feel like this is like the way because they're all like the same kind of race or the same color and everything, but it brings it back to where like people will find any excuse to make like I don't know examples of people and put them in their place. I guess is that what they want to call it? Like no matter if you're like the same color, like you're always gonna make a class, even if we're all the same color. They'll find a reason for someone to be better than the other person, and I feel like I don't know. That's why I connect with Tao a little bit more because he knows like he's like the lesser, so he knows what it is to feel like the oppression on them. So going back to the scene that you're talking about, I feel like he felt it more because this is someone that's lesser than him. So he was like, I had it bad. Imagine how they have it.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, go drudge guy, you're awesome. And then he died. I was like, damn it.
I know.
Ah, man. And and credit to Evan Winter, who can just bring up a character in one chapter and kill him and make us feel bad about it.
Yeah.
That's impressive for it to be that fast.
Yeah,
And then, like you were saying, Maza, it reminds me. I think there was an episode back in the day of like the cartoon The Fairly Odd Parents, if I'm not mistaken, that had an episode where I think everybody was gray.
Yeah.
oh
I just
yeah,
And
seen it.
you remember
Just seen
that?
it.
And then everybody was like, they were still finding ways to divide themselves and to be like, no, but we're better because we wear hats or something stupid like that. And then we're better because this. And still, it's just like, man, it's like they're the same people, but they're still dividing themselves. It's another
Playing-
human element that always comes into play, unfortunately. It's like,
yeah. Isn't that Dr. Seuss book too? It's like the Sneetches or whatever. There's like the star on some of the Sneetches and some
mhm.
of them don't. And there's like the machine that finagles them all around. And then it's like, then they learn their lesson that they're all the same essentially.
Yeah. And you know what? This, I think, eventually will go the same way. They will
Yeah,
all learn their lesson eventually.
I hope so. Yeah.
hopefully.
You know what? I feel like I just seen that episode too because I've been watching it with JJ. Like I just put it on for him to watch it, and I seen it because I think it started because the people had better teeth than him, and they were like, "We still have better teeth than you, even though we're gray. We still have better teeth than you." Like,
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
That's funny that you recently just watched that.
yeah.
Perfect. All right. So then after that, Tao basically has this big mission of teaching other people how to fight and survive. Well, not really survive, but fight and live temporarily in Isihogo and fight the demons until they die, right? And that I feel like was really intense. That I was excited because I feel like it was inevitable. I was like, why not just if you have a big battle, teach other people and you guys can wipe out the other side. If people can fight as good as Tao, you know, um,
Yeah.
I think they had that one moment where they had somebody that they trusted. I forget the character's name, but he couldn't hang basically. He saw the Demon King, and that was it. He lost his mind. What were you
Oh
guys
yeah. They
thinking
called
in
it
that
like
moment?
demon, like he was demon ridden or something, or
Yeah, because
bedridden by a demon or something like that. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. And like
Yeah,
we
he
thought like they
came
want to go
back and
get
was like,
him.
"Oh,
And, like this, yeah. They
kill my
want to go
teammate."
get the guy, and then he just survives like one run round, and it's like, bro, we just wasted our time going to go get him, bringing him over here, and it's like, bro. Like, what?
Yeah.
imagine being that guy though. Like, you have everybody else who's like training day in, day out. Like, okay, we could do this. We're fighting. What's his name can't do it because he has noble blood. So now
Oh,
we just need one more. Hey, can you join us? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he jumps in. In one night, he was like, just lost his fucking mind and went crazy. And they're like, come on, man. Like, he
A little
died. It
murder
was sad.
suicide.
Yeah.
but see, I like
But
that
yeah,
because then we start finding out that it's more than like there's more to the other world than we actually think because there's more rules that go into play on going into Ishiogo. Because I think
Mhm.
later on they're gonna mention how it's like a maybe like the big demon or something is gonna start noticing that they're going in there because right now they don't really know that you're going in there and doing all these things. But once
Yeah.
you start making too much light, they're gonna be like, "Well, what's going on here? Why are you coming to our side?" Kind of thing. But I really like it because I actually like the inclusion of the maidens because I was like they just
Mhm.
look like I can just imagine how like they look so like noble and it's like they can't hurt a fly. All of a sudden they just whip out their stuff and it's like what did you say? Especially when they get into like the arguing with that one funny guy. I forget his name.
Uh,
Temba.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like they go back and forth. It's like I can literally break your bones right now, but it's like just test me.
Yeah, I liked all of that. I definitely liked a couple facets because like we learned more about the noble blood, like how that they can't go into Easyhogo because they technically have a part of it in them all the time, like the gifted when they use their powers. And then I also like getting like when Tao was talking to Siora about this whole idea, because there's like that initial awkward moment where I was like, are they gonna jam? Are they not? Like, and it was really good awkward sexual tension. And it really like showcases how smart Siora is because Tao talks about like he's like the only he's like I'm the only person like me or whatever or like there are no men like me and she like immediately picks up on like wait a minute we could make more like you so let's make this happen. And I was like good for her because like she's a really smart character and I really enjoy seeing her interactions with Tao because like they kind of foil off of each other in a lot of ways. But yeah, and then the guy, yeah, they recruit the guy who apparently had survived the whole thing in the first book with them, and then he just dies immediately. I was like, bummer, dude.
Yeah. So such a letdown, but also so sad. And to what you were saying between Tao and Tisira, um, their dynamic is great because clearly she is in love with him or she's at least attracted to him,
Yeah.
and Tao cannot pick up a hint to save his life. Like, she's
Yeah.
so obviously attracted, and he's just like, I don't know why she's looking at me in my chest. Alex, I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah, I
it's just
resonate with Tao so much.
like, but then yeah, you have all the fights in Isihogo, and it's great to see the development of Udark. I'm gonna butcher all of these names. Just like
Uduak?
that.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
Uduak.
And then we
And
find out that he actually likes he's in like in a relationship with the other guy, huh?
Yeah,
Which
it had it.
yeah,
yeah, like and
I
it's
was
like
like,
and then Winter just adds it in there like, oh, that's that too. And again, Tal was so like oblivious to it. He was just like, wait, what?
he's like, wait, they're doing what? But in the first
Yeah,
book, they're all so close and bonded together. And then so when you see that pop up in the second book, and it's like Dumbo's like, "Oh yeah, you didn't know?"
It's like, duh.
He's like, "We're sleeping in the same bed, bro. Like, what? You didn't think of nothing?" And then he's like, "What?" But I thought that was a cool, surprising development.
Because it was so
Yeah.
weird how like he was so mad. Like Udak was so mad that like he left him alone. He was like, "Why did you not protect them better?" It's like blah blah blah. And I was like, "Why is he so mad? Like it's war. They're gonna get hurt." But then it made sense. It's like, oh okay, that's what you cared. Like it's your significant other. So like you're gonna care what happens to him.
For sure.
But did you guys think they were gonna cut out Hadis from like the whole thing? Like I was thinking they were amended because like they were telling you're never gonna see battle again. But then you start to see how he has like those like tactical war brains going on. So it's kind of like, oh, maybe they'll use them like that. But I don't know. And then we didn't mention it, but I was kind of like thrown off by the fact that what was his friend's name? Jabari. Like he had some. You can feel the hatred coming through the pages through Tao because Tao's just here telling them like oh yeah, I killed your brother. And basically you're burned to shreds now because of me. And it's like I could just feel the hatred to this guy. So I was like thinking that Jabari was gonna try to do something, and it's good to find out that he actually joins them, and he actually wants to stay there. He was like, oh no, I'll just hide from them. Just leave me here. Like go away. Just let me chill here. And it's like it doesn't work like that.
No, for sure. I think the development with Jabari I thought was really cool. He was my favorite edgy character because of all his scars and wounds. He had to have that hooded cloak, so he was just a figure in a hood with a sword. Like he was the super edgy character in this one, and for sure, like the way they set it up, it makes you think like, oh, there's no way they could be friends again. Tao admitted he murdered his brother, and he was still very upset about that. And then at some point he's going to try to get his revenge. And then eventually, the way it worked out, they fought each other, and they kind of, I don't want to say they didn't get over it, but Tao won. So they had to, Jabari just kind of had to deal with it for now, and was just like,
I'll get stronger.
We'll fight again. And then just accepted it.
What did you guys think about when they each get like their swords and like because it's made out of like the dragon.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I really like that scene too. Like
I love cool magical swords. Like there's nothing wrong with those ever in fantasy. It's like especially like it's like these are dragon scale swords. I'm like yes, awesome.
They're made with dragons. They got dragon magic in it somehow, probably. But not to get totally off track, but I watched The Northman today. And that's a movie that features a really cool sword where the character has to leave the story basically and go obtain this sword. And it just reminded me, literally anytime there's some sort of special weapon or magical weapon or a weapon that's, all the most important heroes have, and now they finally have it. I feel like that always adds something to fantasy. I get it personally. I get very excited about that. No matter what kind of story it pops up in. Like, yes, they have the cool weapons now.
Yeah.
Their swords can cut other people's swords in half. Like, yes, let's go.
Then you should definitely read Chainsaw Man then, because they literally become the weapon. They literally I never imagined like I don't know reading something like that being so good. It's like they literally become the weapon themselves. It's like well that's better.
He becomes Chainsaw Man. Yeah. All right, so then after they're trained and they have to march and fight the battle to recapture the city that right before that actually, we have an important event where they go back and they find out that Tao's hometown has been attacked.
Yeah,
and they try to rush over there and see. What were your guys' reaction to seeing the brutality of what Kana did to his hometown?
So obviously, like it's devastating, like for characters for Tao, Jabari both, and like as a reader, I'm like, ooh, that sucks. But also, it's like you guys kind of made your own enemy here, like Kana, and that's the thing with Kana. Like at the end of the first book, Kana was still on board with like, yeah, we can work things out with Siora. Like I'm a cool dude, and then like they kill his dad, and he's like, nope, screw this, I'm killing all of you. And I'm like, I don't necessarily blame him. And that's the revenge thing, it's like the whole story about revenge. And now Tao was trying to get revenge and he fueled someone else to go get revenge now. And so it's just this vicious cycle of violence and hatred. But yeah, it was really brutal, really metal, just the way it was described.
I
Yeah.
think what got to me was that I think it was the mom, correct? Where they made her see
Oh yeah.
everything. But
Mhm.
then again, the way that he describes the mom, I kind of don't, I kind of dislike her just because the way that he treats Al too. So it's kind of like I wanted to feel bad for her, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know, you're not really making your case here, lady. Like maybe I feel
Yeah.
bad for Al because he's over here losing everybody, but it's kind of
Mhm.
like I don't know. But yeah, that was totally brutal. But you know what? It starts to make me feel like maybe Tal was kind of jealous of Kana because wasn't Kana gonna get with Ciara? So like he kind of like
Yeah, it was like a
even though
marriage pact.
he's kind of like oblivious to it, he kind of like feels a little like no, you're not gonna get the girl, bro. Like I don't know, maybe we'll come back to that, but I don't know.
I think Tao is so clueless when it comes to romance. I don't think he was thinking about that, but that's just me. But but I think I agree with you. It was really intense, the part about his mom, where they literally butchered her husband and their
Yeah,
child in front of her and then carved out her eyes. So that's the last thing she'll ever remember seeing. I was like, ooh, okay. We just took a very dark turn. And you understand, like, Tao has been on a mission for revenge, and he cut off this man's father's head and threw it at him. Like he wants to murder everybody just because his father lost in a duel. Like
yeah.
imagine if after that duel they cut off his father's head and threw it at him. It's just like that's so much more. You did so much more than what people did to you. So you have to expect this man is a demon now. He is filled with rage and he is coming for you and everything you care about. And I thought I was at that point I was like, damn, Evan Winter really developed a serious villain. Like regardless of eventually the call will come or they have to fight the demons, he has to deal with Kana. And I mean, Tao to Kana, of course, is going to seem like what's his name, Abasi Odili or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Ideally, yeah.
That's they're gonna have the same thing. He's on a mission to kill Tao, and you get it. You understand. You're like, yeah, he threw your decapitated father's head at you. Like, what do you expect? You know.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
just like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. I guess I'm just gonna sail away forever, like and never fight you again.
right,
It's like, what were you thinking, man?
it's like, bro, you didn't need to do all that. You could have just killed him. But Raoul Reed said, "Oh, Back to Chainsaw Man has to be the goofiest thing I've ever heard, but when you see it, it makes sense." All right,
You
I
know
need to
what?
check.
I read the first two volumes, and I was kind of like, man, like I don't know if I'm gonna get into this, and I just binged all of it because the last volume just came out, and then I found out it's just part one of it, and I was like, bro, there's more. It gets really intense real fast. Like
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to have so much plot, but it's really good. Picks up.
Okay. Nice. Raul said, "I'm not illiterate. I swear I read books. I know you read books. Don't worry, Raul."
Well, we know because his name is really Raul Reed, so
Raul
like.
reads. Got you. I understand. Um, okay. Next major event. They storm the city, right? And they go to save Essie. Man, what were you guys shocked when we got to the Essie chapters and we seen
Yes.
it from her perspective? Because my mind was blown. I was like, "What? What do you
Yeah.
mean?"
Yeah, it's like you said earlier, like Winter can like just splash someone on the page and make you care. And it's like, especially once we get Essie's perspective and she's like, she and Odelia are like authentically in love with each other. I was like, ah, damn it. Like, why are you doing this, man? And then, like, and don't get me wrong, like, I still didn't like Odelia at all, but I kind of felt bad for Essie. And especially as she's talking about like her backstory with her
Oh,
sister and how like her sister was the favored one and all this other stuff. And I was like, damn, this girl was abused. And I don't necessarily think that Ciora was like a bad person either, because everything's from everybody's own perspective. But obviously, their upbringing was not great. And she has her own problems. And she's just kind of wrangled into all of this. And who knows? Maybe Odelia thought that he could have led the Omehi better. I don't know. We'll never know now. But yeah, I was like, damn it, I care about these people, and I know they're gonna die. So this sucks.
Yeah.
because I felt like she was kind of like like I could just imagine like a really young like princess next to like some old raggedy guy. It just didn't seem right. I don't know. It just didn't like I feel like we knew that she really was like in love with him, but I feel like he was just using her. I feel like we all knew kind of like he's just using her kind of thing. But who knows? Because we don't really see his perspective. We don't really know what he's thinking. But I don't know. For me, knowing how the guy is, just wanting the power, it feels like it. Like he just wants the power, and he was just using her to like be able to control it, to control the government, like basically like a puppet kind of thing. And then bringing it back to what Brandon said about like the background. Yeah, because we find out that she was actually supposed to be the queen, but since she was not gifted, they were kind of like, you know what, you were the first daughter, but I'm gonna give your name to her and her name to you. So let's just leave it like that.
Mhm. Yeah, real quick. Hey, what's up, Bryce? Thanks for stopping by. And then you definitely have to come back after you've read this. Highly recommend it.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's crazy because then for the first time I'm thinking, is Queen Tisora, is
Yeah,
she evil on some level? Is she a bad person? Did she really abuse her little sister all these years? Did she, I have all these questions now. Before I was just like, yeah, she's the queen, of course. Tao's, I'm focused on Tao. And,
yeah.
he's basically becoming a demon and hopefully he has a little bit of humanity left. But now we're hit with, oh, we have this question about Queen Tisora. Is she a bad person? Did she wasn't the firstborn. She really shouldn't be queen. And then you have Odili, for the first time, kind of seeming like he cares mostly about his nation, and
Mhm.
maybe he does actually love Essie. We can't really tell. He doesn't live long enough for us to tell, but does he actually care? And we have these questions now, and I think that spurs the interest and keeps us pushing forward through. Because now I'm like, oh, I have to know. These are I wasn't expecting this, and we're hit with it. I was expecting, okay, we're gonna have a really cool siege battle. They're gonna try to break through these walls.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did, and dragons were involved. We finally got dragons on screen.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yes.
that whole part was really cool too. It's just the different like dragons fighting in the sky while all the soldiers are fighting, and then like there was the Easy Hogo fighting and all this crazy nonsense going on. It's like a 3-part battle happening simultaneously.
Mhm. Yeah, there was levels to it for sure. And now Tao finally sees the Demon King, the one that made his
Yeah,
friend to go crazy, and they had to put him down because he just had one battle with this guy. So I think it was cool that we saw him earlier in the book, and now we see him pop up again, and it's just like, this guy's a real problem, and Tao can't beat him. He's not a better swordsman. This Demon King in his own realm is very powerful, and he scares Tao. Tao is practically half demon himself, and he's scared. And so we have this new character. What do you guys think of the demon? I'll call him the Demon King for now.
I just can imagine like this bull looking person, like like with the human body kind of thing, but like a massive kind of guy. Because I think Tal mentions like he was like maybe like he like outweighed him out, like he was humongous, and it's like I can just imagine like how to face something like that because he was trying to protect Thirsty, no, it's not Thirsty. What am I?
Naya, I think,
Yeah,
the
nah, he's
vizier.
trying to take my yeah,
Yeah.
where he's like, you know what, Queen, I'll take your spot. And for a minute, I had hope that Tao was gonna be able to save her. And then again, he's hit with the whole thing. Whenever I'm here and I can do something, I can never fulfill like the whole mission and save someone. Like he keeps losing all these people, and it's stuck in his head that he can't save them. Um, and then also talking about the Demon King, you know how you keep seeing the demons like outside of Ishiogo? I thought for a minute everybody was gonna be like, "Bro, you're crazy," but then Siora is also able to see them too. So it's kind of like, is the demon gonna come? The Demon King gonna come out eventually? I don't know. The whole thing is just. I wonder if that's the only way that they're gonna be able to defeat him is if they take him out of that realm and bring him back up to the real world in a way. So I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting to see if like they go ham at the end of the book of next book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because I think at the very end of the first one, he also like glimpsed the Demon King, and then obviously he's much bigger presence in this one. Um, yeah, I'm really curious like why this one demon is so different. And my wacky theory right now about the demons and the call is that they're connected. My really wacky theory about that is that the call are actually demons who were able to stay permanently in Umlaba, and that like and they're like thousands of years old or whatever. So we'll see if that theory comes true. But and my thinking is that they're kind of more of like speaking of a caste system, that the Demon King is like an upper caste demon, and that the Call are kind of the same thing. And so I just think that would be thematic with the Omehi. Obviously, if it doesn't happen, I won't be disappointed. But I like theorizing though.
Since we're here, David, did you notice like the skill that Evan Winter does with like the writing? Because he could have like basically shown us like all the killings, but he did it in such a smart way by jumping into a different POV, and then the POV just being like they keep coming in and telling us they're here. They keep coming in and telling us they're here now, and it's like, oh, they're outside the walls. Instead of showing us, because I feel like that would have been way too much for a writer to like show us someone like invading a whole city, because it's like a humongous city. Because they were talking about how like these walls had never been breached. So I feel like it would have been like for myself like a really big challenge to write like a whole big. And I feel like that was a very smart way and a really good way to do it too. Because then Tao gets in, and I started to hate the general, the new general. What's his name?
Haneth or
Added, yeah. It kept because he didn't let him kill him. It's like he was. I could just imagine, like, I don't know if you guys remember, like in high school, that one kid that wants to fight so bad, and supposedly someone's like holding him back. It's like, bro, you're there. Just push him out of the way and kill him. Like,
come on, bro, and they're going face to face and not doing anything.
yeah.
But
but that's a good point. It was a really bold choice to like structure that whole chapter as an SE POV chapter, because like we expect the whole siege, a whole battle be structured through Tao's POV, but like there is an idea in writing that like you should give the POV to the person with the strongest emotional impact, and in that moment, SE kind of was the person with the strongest emotional impact. Her city was being invaded, her lover is about to be killed, and then she dies too. So I really liked what he did, and that way we didn't have to have a really long drawn out like siege sequence. It just happened, and then we moved on, and I like that approach to it.
No, and I'm in total agreement with both of you. I think that might be one of my favorite things, like on a writer level, not just as a reader, but as somebody who would like to write. I thought that was so cool that he switched up. I wasn't expecting it, and it's like we get this perspective now from Essie, who then not only gives us a perspective we didn't expect, like that she's against her sister, but we get another way to see the battle. Like we can see from the enemy's side. I thought that was really cool because there's an infinite amount of ways you could have explained that battle and that siege, but choosing her sister I thought was such a good choice. And I'm in total agreement. Raul Reed said that's worse than cock blocking.
Yeah, because like the guys right there, I was expecting it to go down there, but then like they built it up to where like, oh no, you're champion against my champion, winner keeps all. It's like, oh, that was pretty good. But the way I didn't like is that we still see it from the sister's point of view. It's like I wanted to see what Hal was feeling, like that rage, because it's like the vengeance that we've been looking for. Like you're facing the guy, and it's like she can kind of like tell us what they're mouthing to each other. But I don't know. I wanted to see the scene where Tal's just standing on top of him. We saw him, toying around with him, which was pretty cool. Because like I'm such a better fighter now than you. Like I can literally be toying with you. But I wanted to see him like with his foot on his face, like spitting on him, kind of thing, and then just like killing him like hardcore, kind of like what he did to the dad, to Chief. It's like do that to this guy who actually did something bad to you. But I don't know. That's just now I'm just being too picky now.
No, that's a good point. It would have been interesting to see Tao in the moment, because like we get his fallout obviously from it, like he's reflecting on it later, but yeah, who knows, maybe the anger just would have been too hard to write. It reminded me, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Spartacus, but there's a part in I think season 1 where there's like a senator who's been set up to fall, and so he gets punished by being put into the arena with Spartacus, and Spartacus is like the top Roman gladiator at the moment, and he fights with 2 swords actually. And so the senator guy stands no chance whatsoever, and Spartacus just toys with him until he eventually beheads him. And so I wonder if there was some kind of influence from that scene in this part in Fires of Vengeance. If it was, great, because I love Spartacus too. It's a good show.
I need to watch Spartacus. I've seen it pop up a few times, and I was like, I'll get into that eventually. But you recommend it?
Yeah, you got to go into it knowing that there's kind of it's a stylized vibe, kind of like 300 was that stylized violence sort of thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because the scene reminded me of, I think I was recommended to you too, David. Record of Ragnarok, where it's like the humans, like the best humans from the history of our course, like against the gods. And a lot of people give the anime such hate, but I don't know. I really liked it because the manga's barely like on volume 3, I think, and on the actual anime, they're already with like one of the last battles. Like I don't know, it's like the whole vibe of them going against each other. It's like it's tremendous. Like I don't know, I really recommend that one too.
Okay.
And it reminded me of Tao, just going against this like basically here Tao is like the demon, kind of like a demon god in his world against this guy that like I don't even think he's ever seen battle. Like he's always had other people fight for him. Correct?
I think so. It's just that
Really?
like the nobles count on their their size and speed and strength and stuff against lessers, and then obviously in this case it doesn't work.
Yeah, because Cersei was like kept on talking. She was like, my champion is the champion because he's actually a noble, and he was probably like, stop talking, like stop, like no, don't do this. Like, what are you doing? Oh, because I think she mentions it. She's like, I kept talking and saying all these things, but Dilly didn't seem to be so like happy to be there. He was kind of like, oh shoot, I'm about to die.
Yeah,
she was all armored up too. And Cal was just like all like without armor, no shields, just his swords.
No, I think she even says that she could see the fear of death in his eyes. She was like, for some reason, he looks like I can see death in his eyes, and it's like, oh, he's done. Like he doesn't have a chance. But random interruption. But I just noticed my Chihuahua was hiding under my bed this whole time, and so she randomly popped up, and I was like, oh hey, and I picked her up.
She was kind of like, this is my spot. What are you doing in here?
Yeah, I love the fight between them because you can tell the skill difference was so crazy that Tao could literally toy with him. He's like, I killed him. Yeah, you can do the final thing and just put him out of his misery, but I killed him. He was no comparison. He humiliated him in front of all the nobles, and that I think was his number one goal to show look, I'm just as good. You know what? I'm better. I'm better than this person. And he proved it, and he embarrassed him, and it was like, yeah, you can put him out. Like, whatever. I'll walk away. I'm done with him. And just like, he's developed this almost arrogance of like, yeah, no, he doesn't compare. And that's what I think what he wanted to prove. And then, yeah, after that, I think the last big moment is one, we have the sisters reuniting and not really agreeing, but Odili lost, so Essie has to fall in line. And then we find out that the Cull is coming, basically, right? Yeah. And we're leading up, like, they're supposed to go to war with the Zadine. We're supposed to, they meet up with this badass General BC, right? Total Giga Chad BC walks up and it's like, yeah, I'm the best one. And then he talks to Hadith, who is a lesser, and the Queen's like, no, this is our general. And he's like, okay. What do you guys think about that whole situation?
That part was cool. With General BC specifically, yeah, it's like Tom's like describing him as like the biggest like man he's ever seen. And it reminded me, have you ever seen Underworld, the vampire movie? And there's the one werewolf, like the second in command werewolf guy, Ray's the Avenger. And he's got this super deep voice. And that's what I was imagining with BC. I was like trying to like do it out loud. Like, how deep would this guy's voice be? Because it's like mountains rumbling together. I liked that he was like not happy about the situation, but he didn't like fight it. He actually seemed like a pretty good dude who is willing to, follow his queen, even if he doesn't necessarily agree. And because I was worried at first we were going to have like a repeat of like the beginning with that other general being like, nah, screw you, I'm rebelling. But thankfully we had less violence going on. And because I was getting concerned too, it's like I thought Odili dying would be kind of the end of the book, but there was like a whole chapter or two after that, and I was like, where's this going? What's going to happen? And then we get the revelation with the Cull coming and that they're on Zidda now. But yeah, I like the whole sequence, and I'm really interested to see how they fight the actual Zadine army while having to deal with the Cull now being here.
Yeah,
I agree. I feel like I don't know. For now, I feel like the general is compliant, but I don't know. I feel like there's something there. Like maybe Winter later on is going to be like he was supposed to comply because maybe he has a bigger mission. Maybe he's like part of another, like maybe even part with the Cull. Like he was sent there on purpose, kind of thing. Where it's like you're not just going to give up like a general like that way. Like I feel like he reminds me of a general that has so much testosterone that he's just not gonna be able to like oh yeah you can be the new general. It's like no, like there has to be something that he's gaining for him to be able to give up ground like that. Kind of like the alpha and the beta kind of thing is like no, you're not gonna just come in here and be like, oh, I'm the alpha general now. Like I don't know, it just reminds me of like those like gym guys that like walk around like that. It's like for like like I was bench pressing here first. It's like no, actually he's gonna bench press here now. So like you can leave.
The biggest guys in the gym tend to be the nicest in my experience.
Yeah. No, and that's what I was about to say is that I think that proves, if anything, he's more dominant. He's not only is he an absolute badass warrior, is he also a great tactician, but he's in control of his emotions. And that's what you need for, a leader, right? He has been presented with this situation that is a lesser is now in charge of you. For the first, he's never experienced anything like that. Like he's been fighting at the wall this entire time. He hasn't paid attention to the politics of what's been going on, right? And now he's just told this lesser is your boss, and he just can accept it. And I think if anything, that proves like this man is in control of his emotions, and whether or not he might hate it, but he's gonna still do his best to help them win this battle. And I think that makes me kind of like him as a character. I'm like, damn, he is as badass as they've been saying this whole time, like leading up
But
to
he
it.
does take a little bit of jabs at Tao because remember Tao's about to get off the horse. That we forgot to mention how he learns to ride a horse. He's like, "What is this beast?"
Oh yeah, horse bro.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He takes a few jabs at Tao because he's like, "This lesser is your champion. Like, what is going on here? First this general, and now this lesser." And he's like, "You know what? Let me go talk to him real close, like up close to him." And then Sierra kind of knows, and she's like, "You know what? Let's go over here. Where's the thing that you were talking about, General? Like, let's take Tao away. Like, come on." And Tao knows too. Like, "Oh, I know what you're doing, but you know what? Whatever."
No, I think that part. Okay, first of all, have you guys ridden horses very much?
No.
Okay,
never.
So I remember one. God, was it Valentine's Day or I don't remember. For some occasion, me and my girlfriend, I took her out like horseback riding, and I went. She loved it. I hated it. I was like, here's this 1,000-pound beast that doesn't listen to what I want to do. And I guess we had a big group, and they were like, oh, this is like a kind of forgot what it was. It was like a cult. I don't remember if they said this is like the alpha of the herd or something. And we rode it. I had a terrible time. I was like, I did not enjoy this. So anytime Tao was like, I don't know, this beast hates me. Like, I totally related. I was like, yes, that's what it's like when you're a dude who just for the first time jumped on horseback and was like, all right, please don't throw me off. And
because they're super tall too.
They are.
Yeah.
Because you know what, Brandon, have you read Words of Radiance?
Yeah.
I see it in the background.
Oh,
it
yeah.
reminded me of Kaladin's scene when he's learning how to ride too, and it's like I don't know. I feel like in fantasy, horses are displayed as like like only nobles kind of have it. So it kind of makes sense how like a lesser coming into like riding a horse, it gives you the sense of like you're progressing. You're like able to ride a horse now. Like these giant beasts that are worth like thousands of like I don't know whatever they're worth in their world, like thousands of dollars. Like you can feed a whole family for a year buying a horse. You're riding this thing between your legs, and I don't know. The whole feeling of having that, I don't know, like I don't know, just my uncles and everybody have horses and they told me to ride them, but it's just like I don't trust like this gigantic beast with my life.
Right. Yeah, it's the funny thing about like horse riding in fantasy. I think there's a trope about like horses as motorcycles essentially, where you just like jump on your horse and you rev it up and then you go. And I think this book does what I like because I don't think and somebody could correct me if I'm wrong on the internet. I bet I don't think there's a huge intersection between like horse experts and diehard fantasy reading. I bet there's some, but I don't think 95% of fantasy readers are horse experts. And so like for me, I'm okay with it's like very brief. This is how you learn how to ride a horse, but there's not really any like attention to the horse upkeep, like all the food and like I mean horses crap all over the place. They never talk about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I like the whole thing, and like when he got introduced to the horse, and the horse helped him kill a demon. I was like, this horse is awesome. Like I'm on board with horse bro.
Because I think he got the horse that was like people were kind of like scared of kind of thing.
Yeah.
And And
Yeah,
I think he has a badass name too. Man, I forgot. It's like
I think
I
it's
was gonna
Fury,
say
right?
Rage.
Fury. Yeah.
Fury. There you
Yeah.
go. For some reason,
Mhm.
I was thinking of Rage, but yeah, even the horse. I can just imagine because I think he's black, correct? He's like a black,
Yeah.
like a
Mhm.
black. Like I don't know. For some reason, like a brown horse, he looks kind of cool and everything. But when you put a
Mhm.
black horse, like I don't know, the whole color thing also
The
comes into play.
stallion.
Where it's
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was named the Rage of Dragons. Yeah. Here's Angry Horse. Ride this. But yeah,
You
I
know, what would
mean,
be
so
cool if in the next book we see Tao
Mhm.
riding a dragon and comparing it to a horse. He's like, put me back on my horse. Like,
Yeah, straight up. You think a horse is bad? Wait till you get on some the winged beast flying through the air, breathing fire.
Yeah. With scales that are like knives.
Mhm,
oh shoot. Because I've heard it's uncomfortable to ride a horse.
mhm. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah, especially if
uncomfortable?
you're not used to it. Like,
Oh, for sure. Like
I think people
And he
talk
was
about saddle
hurt,
sores and stuff.
wasn't he? Yeah, wasn't he hurt too? So like his first experience riding a horse was bad because like he's over here like I
Oh
think his
yeah,
ribs.
the leg wound.
Yeah, and he's over
Mhm.
here like jumping and everything. It's like, bro, like, it's not a smooth ride.
It's not a good
Yeah.
time. Like, I'm telling you, I had such a bad. I was so sore the next day, like my lower back, and it's just I didn't enjoy it. Some people do. I'm sure you get used to it if you like do it often, but yeah. So
So,
we had the Cull eventually show up, right? Because the Zadine are starting to show up, and then you see the shaman. He shows up and is like, "We have a common enemy. Maybe you can join us, or if you don't and you die, then Kana will join us. But either way, one of you guys are going to join us, and we're going to fight the Cull now." what do, what do you expect from the Cull? I assume in the third book, The Lord of Demons, which releases sometime next year, we're going to see the Cull eventually come. What do you guys
Say,
expect?
Evan, if you're watching, let us know.
he just drops right now like exclusive.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I definitely think like I want to know how that guy found out. Like, how did this Zadine
Mhm.
shaman find out the Cull were here and no Omehi people found out?
Right?
And does that mean like are the Cull coming also the same direction? Like the Omehi came off of the Roar, the ocean, like to the west of the peninsula. So like are the Cull coming the same direction, or are they coming like from a different direction that like the Zadine would know more about? But I mean, I assume it's kind of like one of those things where like you got the Zadine forces and the Omehi, and they're probably going to fight, and the Cull are going to come in, and everybody's going to be like, "Whoa, that's nuts! We should probably team up for a bit and fight those people." I mean, hopefully, who knows?
Right? Yeah.
You bring up an interesting point. I wonder if like I don't know. I don't see it happening, but Tao and Kana getting together, like to fight the bigger force.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Kind of like oh man, why do I keep forgetting these names? Kind of like his friend, his childhood friend,
Oh, Jabari.
Jabari and him. Like they kind of made amends. Like we have the same enemy type of thing. Like I'll team up with you. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't really see Kana doing something like that. But it'd be interesting to see both of them fighting in the same team against like the bigger enemy kind of thing. But I
Mhm.
feel like in the end, something has to happen with the Oshiago. Like there has to be something like that connects it back to that because like we spent so much time there that I feel like something needs to go down where it's either the last battle is going to be in Ishiogo and like we think this because they're preparing for this war with them and then Tao's already scouting like this is a good place to have this war, but I don't know, I feel like it's not going to really be the end. I don't know, but it's a trilogy, correct? So he has
it's a
to figure out how
quartet.
to. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
quartet now.
Yeah, or at least assuming he sticks to the plan. He did say it was
Right.
in 4 books now.
Yeah, 4 books.
Oh, then never mind. Then we're in for a ride then.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. It's like how much more stuff is going to happen, and that's where I'm wondering. And it's like, yeah, I agree completely. Like it all has to intersect. Like the Cull and Isihogo and the demons, like it all has to be connected somehow. I feel like Charlie Day on the meme where he's like pointing at the wall and there's all this stuff connecting. It's like, what does it mean?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think maybe, who knows, maybe the Lord of Demons will be about them fighting the Cull, and then we'll get a 4th book where they team up with the Cull to fight the demons. Is
Like,
The
my
Cull are like, oh, we were
assumption.
running from somebody else.
Yeah, it just keeps stacking. Like, okay, I know you guys are invading, but check this out. There's this demon king who keeps whooping our ass. You want to help us out because he'll kill you. So let's just team up real quick, and then we'll deal with our differences after. And Maybe that's where it goes. I don't know.
But you
But
know
they
what?
have-
It seems like kind of like. Do you guys think that the Demon King is more of like a gatekeeper, or do you guys think he's like the actual best human, like
Good
a
question.
demon insect? I don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, as far as I know, yeah, it would seem like he's the top demon, but I wouldn't. It wouldn't be totally unexpected, I guess, to have somebody stronger than him. Like there's the Demon King, then there's the Demon God, the final, the
Because they
final
keep,
final
yeah,
boss.
because they keep mentioning like this other person like that's in charge of the underworld kind of thing. It's
Mm.
like a god type of thing. So I wonder, like, there's something.
Ufaka, or
Yeah,
something
It's
like
like,
that.
yeah, because they keep
Ufuka.
mentioning like if he finds out, we're in trouble. Like you guys need to stop going in there, and because they were gonna stop
Mm.
for a while, and then Tal was like, no, we got to keep doing this because we need to win this world. But like something's up there. Like I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe that Demon King is like Ukufa or like an avatar of Ukufa or something like that.
Oh, could be
Which
for
then
sure.
would beg the question is like, is the goddess real? If the demon like god is
Mm.
real, that'd be interesting.
Mm. Yeah, because then you'd ask, like, is Tisora the avatar of the queen? And
Yeah,
you know, one thing I like about Isihogo that I think adds a lot is the fact that like when they jump in, it's almost like it's endless, right? They jump into this dark space and there's just mist, and you don't know what's lurking in the shadows.
Yeah.
And I think that mystery of like wondering what's still out there that we haven't seen yet. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing something else besides the Demon King to pop up and be like, oh, that was out there lurking the whole time, and now it noticed them. And it's just like, maybe there's something else. I don't know. But do you guys have any
yeah,
final thoughts on the story as a whole? As
Do you guys like the ending?
I did.
yeah. I think it was like it almost was abrupt because like it was so exciting. Like there's so much more coming that I was like, come on, just keep going. Like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's so much action that it's like from start to finish. I feel like it's the two towers, right? We're in the
Yeah.
middle of a story. This is a much bigger story, and this is just a piece of it. And it's like we're going, and I'm like, okay, come on, show me the next one. Like, let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, we did breeze through that. Ciora and Tao like they kiss and they confess their
yeah,
feelings in the book.
That's true. Yes.
Well,
There was
didn't it
that.
feel kind of like a high school kind of thing where it's like, because I think they take the maidens with them, correct? And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it's about time. Like, come
Yeah.
on. It's like we all knew what you guys were gonna do. It's like might as well. And
Yeah.
Sierra was kind of like, Tao, but come on. And Tao's like, I don't know. Like, it's like, bro, just kiss the girl already.
Oh, come on. Can't pick up a sign to save his life. But he finally does. And he's like, okay. And they kiss, and it's
He's
great.
like, oh, gotcha.
Mhm.
That's what all these intimate moments were about.
Because
It's like, well,
I don't know if we mentioned it, but didn't she like tell him like stay here in my room? And I think she even mentioned something about like because we know Evan Winter knows how to do a spicy scene, so like she was kind of like telling him get inside my bed, like we can't protect you. There's no better way to protect me than inside my own bed. Like just just chill with me.
Yeah, like the couches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a really touching scene. It was like the fallout. It was between the end of the battle in Palm and then marching out the next day. It was like he and Ciora had that like they sleep on the couch thing together.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's like really awkward. And that's like I said. I think his ability to craft like sexual tension is as good as his ability to craft an action sequence. And I was like, okay, they're gonna do something, and now they're just snuggling. It's whatever, it's cute.
But then Tal was like, my blades, they're over there, and it's like they needed to be in this couch, and she's like, your blades are fine over there, bro.
Like,
Just
you
leave
don't
them
need your swords for this. Like, come on, bro.
I only need one.
Exactly.
Oh man, that had me cracking up because I was just like imagining like you're snuggling with your girl and someone's like, but my thing's over there. Like it's like, bro, really?
Like, I need to get my swords. Hold on. And she's like, what? Why?
Oh,
He still
man.
doesn't get it. But for me, I think again, I was so focused on his sleep, where it's like they slept on those Safar things, and I remember the thing that stuck out to me most was that after that, it was either Azet or Ramya was like, "Oh, did you sleep well? And he was like, I slept on a sofa. And she's like, oh, so you didn't sleep well. And he's like, no, I slept terribly. I'm like, this whole time, after 2 books, he still doesn't get a good night of sleep. Like, come on. In the 3rd book, I want one good nap or
Full
one good
8
night of
hours.
sleep. Yeah, give him a 9-hour fucking sleep, please.
Kind of like Goku. Like my guy slept for like 20 episodes, and it's like.
Exactly.
It's like, how can you even sleep for 15 seconds? It's like, bro. That reminded me of the scene where like Tao goes up to and he's like, you have so much vegetables up here, or like so many plants. What do they give? And she's kind of like, they're just for decoration. It's like, oh man, it must be so hard to bring water up here to just like have them for decoration.
It's a waste. Everybody in my town was starving, but you got pretty plants, so that's cool, I guess.
Tao, I don't know. For some reason, he's like one of my favorite fantasy characters next to Kaladin. Man, Tao's just a badass, man. Like, I don't know. Even if he goes all berserk and like, I don't know, like just becomes like this demon, I'll still root for him. Like, I'm here for you, bro. Like, everybody's gonna leave you, but I'm here for you.
They're also true. I'm always nice to see everyone at the gym. Yeah. I think that was back during our general BC comments. Yeah. It's a good time. All right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely ride or die with Tao by this point.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I was mentioning the ending because, like, I don't know, like, I liked it. I really did, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too picky because I really enjoy this series. That I want like the most amazing epic thing, and like it's like sometimes like, bro, you're not gonna get it. But like I feel like since it is the 2nd book, I thought it was gonna be a trilogy for some reason. I don't know where I heard that. But now that I know that it's gonna be 4 books, it makes sense. Because like it gives you a cliffhanger, and it makes you, like how Brandon was saying, like it wants you to pick up the 3rd book, and I feel like it just does that. Like because I think I finished and I went on Discord and I told you guys, I was like, I asked David, I think I was like, hey, when's the 3rd book coming out? And he was like, you know what, it was supposed to come out, but it got postponed.
It was supposed to come out in January, but then it got delayed. So I don't know if Evan Winter is stuck or having writer's block or whatever. But I look forward to it whenever it's supposed to drop sometime next year. And I will be there for the ride because
you know what?
I'm enjoying. I'm loving it so far.
I forgot to mention that. I think it was at the end of the book where we find out that he was writing the book while his dad passed away. Which is like, my condolences to him. Like, like that must be like one of the hardest things he's ever done in his life. Like, you lose someone like your dad, and like you have the willpower to finish a book like this, and it's just like, bro, come on. Like, I don't know. I really like I think the last page was like really emotional for me because I was like, man, this was touching just to know that you're giving like your fans like like a book while you're going through something like that. I don't know, it just kind of like broke my heart a little bit.
Well, for sure. I think in the acknowledgments is when he threw out there, he lost his dad recently, and this is a story about a main character who lost his dad. So it's not like he lost his dad and then he's writing a romance novel. This is literally dealing with a character who lost his father and dealing with. So yeah, I mean, hats off to him for being able to still write this story and finish it and publish it and all that. And yeah, again, I mean, I really look forward to the next one.
Same. Yep. And you know what? I wonder if they because they haven't done a cover review or anything, huh? Like he's keeping like this whole where like the whole thing where like there's like a kind of like a statue kind of thing in the background, like and then there's like a whole big thing here. Like last time it was a
shield, I think.
It was a shield, and this one kind of does look like it could be like a sort of like a shield. I wonder like what they're gonna do next. Maybe a demon head or something. That'd be cool.
Lord of Demons.
That'd be cool.
Oh man, I cannot wait to find out what it will look like and what the story will be. Oh, but all right, I feel like that's a good place to stop. Do you guys have anything else you want to get off your chest about the story before we go? Is that?
No, I think my only prediction is that Tao and Ciara are gonna have thousands of babies, and they're gonna live happily after.
A bunch of babies. They're gonna have hella dragons.
Imagine.
They got so many dragons and babies, dude.
Oh man. Brandon's just like these guys, like real.
Like what?
I'm just imagining her like a spider, essentially, just laying all these Tao eggs.
He's part demon now, so sure, it makes sense. All right, guys. Well, we we talked about the Fire's Vengeance, and next time we will talk about the Lord of Demons whenever that comes out. Hopefully next year, fingers crossed. And I'm looking forward to it. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.